Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30. He's going to go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three in.
He hit us!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's Wednesday, and it's the last day before the storm arrives, right? Everyone making a big deal about the winter storm heading our way, as they should be. If it hits like we're expecting, we'll see. Those up north, wow, they really are anticipating getting hit. How's it going? Down south, it shouldn't be too bad. Welcome aboard. Another great day. Looking forward to welcoming aboard Aaron Matus soon. Derrick Jackson, Rick Bozich. Some games last night to talk about. League games going on. Pull that up and see. I didn't really watch any of those. I started to and then got busy. Who ended up winning? Didn't have it on there. There were 3 Big Ten games last night. I do know that. I don't know why my score's not coming up, but oh well. How you doing? Welcome aboard. Michael, how are you, sir? Jason, up and at it. Tim, Dwayne down in Evansville. They're supposed to get hit pretty well, I believe. Indiana, a week off for they host the Illini on Saturday at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Hopefully that'll give everyone time to clear any snow or ice or anything that is in the way, out of the way. Football coaching changes in Indiana, that's an issue that need to talk about as well. Indiana loses their running backs coach to Notre Dame, but you know, all those, everybody, I kept seeing people talking about rumors of why this and that. You do realize he left to go to Notre Dame, right? He didn't go to SMU or you know, Central Michigan. It's Notre Dame. Yeah, it's a step up no matter what you're thinking. As of right now, his sons are staying at Indiana, so as we saw a tweet put out yesterday. So that's good news if that holds for the Hoosiers. How's everything going for you guys? What's up next? Jason asks, will Rob Finnessy be back for the next game? I have zero information about that because Indiana will give zero information about that. But let me tell you, I've had plantar fasciitis, and it hurts like you can't imagine. It's like someone taking a blowtorch to your foot. Jason down in Corden, raining down there. All right. So you guys are not going to get hit too bad, probably, unless it freezes. But as soon as I say he won't be back, he'll be back. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. I remember when I had it, one of the sports I was playing was tennis, and that summer, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" It took a few weeks to get by, but I didn't have the care that he has, so that could make a gigantic difference of getting him back faster. You see him wearing that boot. Another thing that what happens is when you sleep, you have to wear a boot. It pulls your foot up. It's the ligaments are running along the bottom of the foot, but when you sleep, it pulls that ligament back and it lets it rest. And it's just about rest. So he could theoretically be back at any time. But it's a tricky deal. The last time I even felt it coming on, I'll be honest with you, it was an Indiana-Ohio State football game, and we were waiting for the elevator and waited so long to go back up that we all walked back up. Well, that's like, I don't know, is it 10 flights? 10 flights? I remember the next day I felt it, and I'm like, oh my God, is it back? So, but yeah, I don't know, to be answered. Fantasy would be back. It's not a long-term deal. Not to say he couldn't re-injure it, but he should be able to come back fine if he's rested. The positive thing is watching Christian Lander get some minutes. Held to the Commanders just doesn't sound right. What is that? What did I miss? You guys are having your own conversation. 71 degrees in Raleigh tomorrow. Howie, you're down in North Carolina. 71 degrees. Well, you won't be having any snow or ice. Oh, the Washington football team changed their name. I missed that. Thanks, Brad. The Washington Commanders. I prefer the Washington football team. I mean, I'm not a fan of them, but I would rather they just kept the Washington football team as opposed to the Commanders. I mean, Commander-in-Chief, I guess. Who knows? Yes, John?
Jim, what's worse, the Washington Commanders or the Cleveland Guardians? The new team for the Indians in the MLB, or the new name for the Indians.
Oh, you're kidding me.
You know that they were the Guardians?
They've already officially changed it? Guardians of what?
That's what most people say.
That's the dumbest. Yeah, that's ridiculous, but well, it doesn't matter what it is. When you change something that is so iconic and I guess you have to be PC. The word Indian is not acceptable anymore. Florida State has managed to stay above that fray. The Seminoles, they have a relationship with the Seminole tribe. I don't understand why other teams, they should have done that very thing. But it is what it is. I guess you got to come up with something. I'm not a Cleveland fan, so who cares? But that's ridiculous. Let's see. They're only expecting about an inch of ice down there in the southern Indiana, Louisville area, so that's good. Super Bowl tickets going from 4 to 39,000. Yeah, that's standard, isn't it? Just to be able to get in, to have that access. 7 degrees down in Georgia. You guys are lucky. I did see this yesterday. Floyd Mayweather entering a NASCAR team to qualify for the Daytona 500. I didn't read this. And I wished I had it. I meant to. I saw this yesterday. I'm like, what? I did not have a chance to read it, but I wish I would have. But you know what? I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather at all. But NASCAR doesn't care. They're just looking to expand their footprint. You've got Michael Jordan involved. Michael Daugherty he's not a car owner anymore. But they're just happy to get to expand their footprint. Jason asking, and it's just Jim, man. Does Anthony Leo get more time now? Again, all of that stuff, I don't know why he would get more time now. That's up to what Mike Woodson and crew see in practice. There's a reason those guys are not on the floor. There's a reason that Christian wasn't on the floor yet. He was hurt, but he wasn't quite ready yet either. The staff knows what they're doing. They're in practice every day. I'm not. I think that if nothing else, Indiana fans have to have learned this season to just let Woody run the show. The team is. Oh man, I lost my Big Ten schedule or results. The team is currently sitting at 16-5. They're 13-1 at home. You have when's the last time Hoosier fans have seen numbers like that? So, could they use his shooting? I know everyone thinks that they could use his shooting, but it must be that they are not comfortable that it's a game situation. I don't know why, because every time I've seen Anthony in there, he seems to not be bothered that his shooting is fine. I don't know if it's a defensive lapse. I'm not sure why he's not getting more minutes yet. But Woody's got a system, and it's not flawless, but it's working. So to answer your question, Jason, I don't know, because I don't know why exactly he's not getting more time right now yet, but they seem like they are just slowly working this thing in, and it's worked. A lot of people would like to have seen Jordan Geronimo get more minutes because they look at the production of, say, Miller Kopp or Parker Stewart and say, well, you just put them in. Well, it's not quite that simple. And so they just have to make it work how they see it work best. And I think they've done a hell of a job. Like I said, Indiana sitting in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth right now, sitting sixth in the Big Ten. But they're only 2 games out of first, with games coming against every team that is in front of them. Ohio State at home, Purdue on the road, Illinois at home, Wisconsin at home, and Michigan State. They only play them on the road. Is that correct? I'm trying to recall. But is that right, John?
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's actually good, because Indiana's getting most of those teams at home. You get Wisconsin at home, Illinois at home. That's it, though. No, they have travel to Ohio State. I forgot. Travel to Purdue. Travel to Michigan State. You got 5 games. 2 of them are at home. 3 of them are on the road. Now, can they steal any of those road games? That'd be tough, but can they? Absolutely. For whatever reason, I look at a team like Michigan State, who is tied for the lead in the Big Ten. They're 17-4 overall. They've only lost 2 games in the conference, but one of those was at home to Northwestern. You know, back when Indiana stunk and lost 12 in a row, who was the only team they could beat? Michigan State at Michigan State. It was crazy. So I don't know what it is about that, but there you go. Break time already?
Yes, sir.
Man, it's rolling. Looking forward to Aaron Matus joining us. Derrick Jackson will be along today. Rick Bozich, plenty to talk about. We'll be back with all that and more. Let's see, we're going to hit from Jalen Hood-Schifino today as well. So stay tuned. We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with it, brought to you by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Each Monday night at 7:05, you can catch Inside Indiana Basketball with Don Fisher and Coach Mike Whitson. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
Yeah, this would be a good segment as any to run a couple of these Jalen Hood-Schifino clips.
Oh,
got
is this
two of them in. I think what I'm going to have to do.
Is this an open segment?
Yeah, it normally would have been Kravitz, but Kravitz had he's going down to Nashville.
He's been traveling a lot.
And then, he emailed me last night, this morning. I can't remember. But yeah, I've got two Hood-Schifinos, the ones we had in before. And I think I'm going to need to do one more thing before I'm able to download them from YouTube because they're private right now. It's the downloader I use is not recognizing the URL. And so what I might need to do is later on, maybe this evening, is temporarily make them public so I can download them and then make them private again, just so I can get the actual file from them.
Man, and I haven't had the chance to read about this lawsuit.
With who?
Former Miami coach Flores, who's now,
he's
got all kinds of stuff, not just against Miami, now against Denver.
I saw a rumor, it may have just been a joke rumor, but Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were going to purchase the Denver Broncos.
He already has a part in it, doesn't he?
Who, Peyton Manning? Maybe he does. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff all the time. Does he have a stake in the Colts or just the Broncos?
You cannot have in two teams.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm surprised he would take the Broncos over the Colts.
Well, he lives in Denver.
Oh, he does. What an odd place to retire.
Well, he's not retired.
Well, retired from football.
From playing football.
All right, here we go.
Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. I'm sitting here looking at the new Washington Football Commanders logo. It's just different, I guess. It says Washington Football and then Commanders. So changes, man. It's just changes. Changes. Saturday's game with Indiana and Illinois, a noon contest on ESPN. That'll be a gigantic game, and looking forward to that and talking about that with everyone today. Brian Flores has sued the NFL and 3 teams the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Giants, alleging discrimination regarding his interview process with Denver and New York and his firing last month by Miami. This is from ESPN's Marcel Louis-Jacques. Flores alleges the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, listen to this, attempted to incentivize him to tank on purpose, which, that's not like that hasn't happened before. But he wanted him, it was purposely told to lose games by offering him $100,000 for every loss that season. The owner allegedly offered $100,000 per loss to the coach so they could improve their draft status. Additionally, Flores alleges that Ross pressured him into recruiting a prominent quarterback at the end of the 2019 season, which the coach refused so as to not violate the NFL's tampering rules. Ross then allegedly invited Flores onto a yacht for lunch in the winter of 2020, where he informed him that the quarterback was conveniently arriving at the marina for an impromptu meeting. Man, that's dude's got all kind of stuff going on. This owner. Flores refused the meeting and left the yacht. Afterward, Flores alleges he was treated with disdain and held out as someone who was non-compliant and difficult to work with. He was fired January 10th. Despite recording the Dolphins' first back-to-back winning season since 2003. Not only that, they were like 1-7, and they won 7 games to get back, 7 straight. That's hard to do in the NFL. Flores also alleged that the Giants interviewed him last month for their head coaching vacancy for no other reason than compliance with the NFL's Rooney Rule, which requires teams to interview minority candidates for their open positions. The league has amended that rule in recent years and now says teams must hold an in-person interview with at least one external minority candidate for any general manager or head coaching position. Flores alleged that he spoke with the Giants via Zoom on January 18th, prior to the team hiring former Buffalo Bills assistant Joe Schoen as its GM. He said the next day Schoen finalized his interview date for January 27th, and the Giants co-director of player personnel, Tim McDonald, texted Flores saying he hoped he would come in and win the effing job. However, hours later, Flores' lawsuit alleges that he received a series of text messages from Patriots coach Bill Belichick, under whom Flores worked for 10 years in New England. In those texts, Belichick told Flores he had heard from Buffalo and New York that you were their guy. Flores asked Belichick to clarify whether he meant to talk to him or Brian DeBoer, who was also in the running for the Giants job. Belichick acknowledged his error and informed him that the Giants wanted DeBoer. Sorry if I F this up. I double-checked and misread the text. I think they are naming Brian DeBoer. I'm sorry about that, Belichick. Allegedly text. How about this Peyton Place? Ooh, no pun intended. Peyton Place going on behind the scenes in the NFL, which we know that stuff's always going on. But now to really start getting some of these nitty-gritty details. But then there's another incident, was Denver. Flores alleges that a similar scenario occurred when he interviewed with the Broncos for their head coaching job in 2019. Flores says that then Denver GM John Elway, among others, arrived to their interview an hour late and hungover, alleging that they had been drinking heavily the night before. The Giants, Dolphins, and Broncos responded separately to the allegations. The Giants were pleased and confident with their hiring process. I know that Denver was not happy at all and said they will vigorously defend integrity and values of their organization, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. That's the stuff. So it's all out there. As the world turns in the NFL. So there's that. Let's see. Yeah, Michigan State escaped at Maryland last night. I was wondering if Maryland, smarting from that loss to Indiana, could pull that out. Tried. Michigan State has had a a lot of close escapes this year, I believe. There's a 3 p.m. game today, Florida and Mizzou. Yeah, that is odd. Unless it's at Mizzou and it has anything to do with the storm. Bobby thinks it's imperative that IU finish no worse than 6 because the Big Ten won't get more than 6 teams in. I don't know. I don't know about that. Michigan is going to have to fight, no doubt, to continue to improve their record. But you have Iowa, who's currently 14-7, with a win over Indiana at least, and I know they've got other good wins. Yeah, Minnesota, they're over 11-7 overall, but their conference record is just abysmal, though they won't get in with that. You're not far off. I think the Big Ten may get 7 in, but I think Indiana's going to finish. I don't know where they're going to finish, but playing the way they're playing right now, this is the tournament team. Unless they are just have an at Wisconsin type collapse. Joey says UFL got the shaft from the refs last night. They always take care of. Louisville must have lost a close one. I didn't see that. Let's see. But yeah, Wisconsin, top of the Big Ten right now. Boy, and I know everyone wants to go back and think, boy, that's the win that Indiana, if you could take any of the losses that they have, that's the one that if you could take off the board, that would mean the most, the one to Wisconsin. And not because you had the 22-point lead. That doesn't show up in any of the metrics. It doesn't see. So, but they get the chance to avenge that. And I think that if they can get that done, if you can get the Illinois win at home this week, that would put them at 9-4, 9-7. Yeah, I think they end up one game over 500 is what, with the schedule they have left. It's not an easy one. They have more road games left than home games. But a plus 500 record in the Big Ten is fine. Their overall record will be fine. I've got to redo the numbers, guys. They'll be right at 20 wins, but I think they get 20 with, if they're not at 20 by the end of the season, I think they'll be at 19. So the first conference game, which of course they'll get a bye in that. Back to talking about normal Indiana basketball, talking about tournament stuff, which is good, which don't want to put the cart before the horse. But yeah, they're rolling along fine. They'd have to fall apart, which has happened. But the way this team is coming along, they're slowly just continuing to improve. It's been a slow trajectory up. You usually don't see that falling apart. They're getting great guard play now from Xavier Johnson. He has really grown into that skin of being Indiana's point guard for this team. Doesn't make him perfect, but the other day he had a bad shooting day, but he had 9 assists. That'll make up for that all day long and twice on Sunday. The McCulloughs, big story that those guys are staying. 2023 four-star Dave McCullough confirms his commitment to Indiana, as well as his brother. We saw that text yesterday. So Indiana received confirmation that four-star DB Dave McCullough, who's at Bloomington South High School, that he is locked into his commitment with the Hoosiers. He announced his intentions on Twitter on Tuesday after news broke that his dad, DeLon McCullough, was heading to Notre Dame to become their running backs coach. And again, everyone talking about it's Notre Dame, guys. I'm sorry. I can't blame him. I don't see how anyone can. I do know that Notre Dame had not offered any of the McCulloughs, except for one, a scholarship, I think, prior to that. Dave McCullough had offers from Arizona State, Arkansas, BC, Florida, Fresno State, Kentucky, Maryland, UMass, Michigan, Mississippi State, Morgan State, North Texas, Penn State, Pittsburgh, Utah, Western Illinois, when he committed to Indiana. That's Dave McCullough, the DB. He said, Coach Allen loves his players, and it shows. I like his energy, and he always is getting the most out of people. McCullough told the Hoosier.com previously. The LEO movement is legit. Everybody there does love each other, and it shows. They treat me just like one of their own children every time I am with them. So we'll see how that love lasts. Hopefully for the Indiana football program it does, because that would have probably hurt more than losing their father. Without question. His brother Desan, a 4-star outside linebacker that Indiana is certainly counting on after losing Micah McFadden. They're going to need him. Absolutely. Race Thompson, how about his 3-point shooting? It's been a big topic of conversation of late. It's gotten better, but he's still, and I think I did the numbers yesterday. I looked at it. What was he shooting? He's gotten it. He's gone from like 10%. He's up to like 23% now. That's hard to raise that 3-point shooting, but he has. So congratulations to him. Trey Galloway, absolutely. Trey Galloway's been an absolute important part of that team's growth as well, his own growth. Tim says, I know polls don't matter, but would you think Indiana would be top 25 on that? Why? You don't think anything. Indiana, there's still a hangover with Indiana, man. I think that with pollsters outside of those who cover Indiana, and you've just got to go a little bit beyond to prove that. But they'll get that done. Forrest says they think they finished 21-9 in regular season. We'll see about that. We got to take a break. Aaron Matus waiting in the wings. Looking forward to it. Brought to you by Andy Moore Honda. If you're looking for a great deal, Andy Moore's got him. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants.
Sports on television.
Look at the big man.
What's happening?
What does that say? Freedom?
Oh, it's my daughter's softball team.
All I could see was Dom.
Yeah, it's for their Kentucky Freedom is what they're called.
Do
I need to cut that off? Does it look ridiculous?
No, I was just wondering what it said.
No.
I can't read I couldn't hardly read it.
And they're so cozy, so now I just wear them since we're not playing much right now. They're like my lounging around the house sweatshirt.
Great. Oh, you'll get to do some. Well, you won't get to do any lounging. I'm hoping I get to do some lounging tomorrow if we get hit with this mess.
Well, now, what are they saying for? I know we're right on the edge. Are you guys supposed to be snow or ice?
Both. We're in that mix.
Okay, because I think
where are you all? Ice?
I think. I saw Jude Redfield's latest this morning, and he said it doesn't look good for us. And I'm like,
well, that's not good.
No, yeah.
That's not good for us either.
Well, we're right on the brink, though, of it. But
see, I'd rather have all of one or all of the other, not a mix of the two, because you can get screwed. If you got ice underneath the snow, that's the worst thing in the world.
And I'd take a foot of snow over a half-inch of ice.
You're damn right. Oh God, you weren't here. I guess it was 2009 when that ice storm hit in Louisville.
Yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
freaking threw a blanket of ice onto everything. It was the
We were out of
weirdest
school
thing.
for 2 weeks. I remember that.
Stuff
Yeah, there's
snapping.
nothing to do. We got one right when we moved here in 18. Wasn't like that one, but I mean, there was people out of power for 5 days in the knobs, and it's 10 degrees outside.
Oh, it was horrible.
So I'm hoping something shifts. Give me the snow, or just even better, just let it rain for 2 days.
No, that's not even better.
Yeah,
Rain
because
sucks.
Well, rain
No,
sucks
but
too, but
yeah, but you know what? Someone told me something the other day. I heard it was the greatest line. I'd never heard it. Boy, you ain't got to shovel rain.
Mm-hmm.
That is good. That is a good one.
I love the snow. That's probably the Minnesota.
Man, I wish I had some coffee.
You got 30 seconds, Jim. Hey, Aaron, I'm going to show you the coffee mug I was talking about last week real quick.
I can't get coffee.
The one that, let me see if my camera comes on.
Changes color.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you
that's
can tell.
sweet. So it's black until you put the.
Yeah, you got if I put my hand on it, you can see it. Well, I guess not really.
That's awesome.
What are we doing?
I was showing him something.
Hey, if you guys are ever
Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey, welcome back on this soon-to-be ice and snow-covered Wednesday. Aaron Matus joins us from D1 Ticker Connect. How are you, brother?
I'm doing very well. Bracing. I'm bracing. We're going to get hit bad down here in Louisville, I think. And my wife and I just realized, not because we're not the panickers that go to the store when there's snow in the forecast, but we actually need to go to the grocery store, and the timing couldn't be worse.
See, I'm fortunate because yesterday I normally am not that thinker ahead person. I'm like, screw it. Yeah. But so I'm like, I need to stop at the store. I'm like, but what do I need? I'm like, I don't really need anything. I'm like, I could get through a few days and more than a few days. I'm like, so I may go out today again just for the heck of it. But I'm like, I'm ready. I've got soup. I've got some food in there. I'm like, I can hunker down, baby.
Hopefully some cold beverages in the fridge.
That could be the only.
Uh-oh. You better go get
that was the only
a nice winter stout.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the entire state of Indiana, I think, is split up into thirds at an angle on who's getting what. That top third is going to get just crushed with 12 to 15 inches of snow, which
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that.
They're used to it.
Yeah.
They're used to it.
I'm jealous
you get
of that.
the plows out, you move it, it's good. Indianapolis and Bloomington and all, I don't know what we're getting. Snow, ice, it's a mix. That stinks because especially if which comes first, is it the ice first, then the snow? Or the snow first, then the ice. You guys down there, if it's warmer, just the ice. That's the worst. That's horrible. None of it's good.
Nope.
But
let's
see how it turns out.
Yeah.
A good thing, I guess, that Indiana doesn't have a game during this week. Fortunate this week is just kind of a big old open spot, at least for us, but that doesn't mean it is for everybody else.
Yeah, and you'd hope things can clear up enough. I mean, Illinois would probably come in Friday if they can get in, but
that's a Big Ten rule. They no matter what, they have to travel the day before for that very reason. Teams must be in the Big Ten cities the day before their contest.
Yeah.
For those
Friday
very
could
reasons.
be a mess. Friday could be the day they're cleaning up everything, but I guess as long as they get in early, late enough, it'd be fine. But I didn't even think about that.
They'll probably fly in. I would imagine they fly in though.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, they will.
And you can fly and clean up the Bloomington flight right to the Bloomington airport. Which have you ever been to that airport?
Way back in the day, I was there once. Yeah, I haven't flown in or out of it, but I was there, and
Now
I
Rick
can't even remember
Bozich has
why.
been to it for certain. You
Yes.
should ask Rick about his experiences at the Bloomington airport and walking home from the Bloomington airport. I think didn't he get kicked off of a bus by Bob Knight at the Bloomington airport?
Yeah, there's a story
something.
there, and there's also a story with him being last to the bus up in Iowa, and they almost left him up in Iowa.
Well, he's on in a little while, so we'll have to ask him. Yes, there is absolutely something. I can't remember what it was, but that's something funny. Look,
It was the
John,
story he told us before. Excuse me, about Bob Knight giving him a Dutch rub or whatever it's called.
Well, I
What is that
remember that
called?
too, but
Is that a different story?
he rubbed his head. Yeah, I thought he had. Yeah, I thought he has he almost missed the bus or something.
Okay.
There is that story. Yes, I do know that. Where there's something like that too. He's got plenty of them. If you're a student reporter for getting your your green wet behind the ears reporter under Bob Knight.
Can you imagine though how lucky, fortunate Rick was to be able to be the timing of that, catching Bob Knight at that time. We're talking the 76, 77, 75 Bob Knight when these teams, holy cow. What a great time if you were a reporter coming up at Indiana to be, and very fortunate he was. Of course, probably better if we were talking to him about these stories.
Luckily, he's coming on in a bit, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, golly.
Anybody that got to witness those teams really
Well, absolutely. And behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The stuff, I mean, I don't know if Rick was allowed to go to some practices. But yeah, Mike Woodson. This is the Mike Woodson era that we're talking about as well, when he played in the 77 through 80 or something.
I talked to and he was after that a little bit, but I sat down in December with Scott Dolson and had a conversation with him, mainly about leadership and his style and whatnot, and asked him, we'd be remiss to not ask you about how your leadership style has been impacted by your time as a student manager under Bob Knight. And he said, if nothing else, it showed you, getting an inside behind the scenes look, it showed you all the different things that go in to a winning program and how many different aspects you need to think about and have a hand in to have a winning program. And he says that, he said, I don't want to give you the company line or anything, but he's like, I go back to my experience as a student manager under Bob Knight every single day of my life.
Hey, look at the players. Every player that played for him had stacks of notebooks that they were, I don't know if you knew this, that they had to keep like they were in class from practice. They have practice notebooks, stacks of notebooks that they all had to keep, and virtually all of them still have them. I know Todd Leary still got his. I'm sure Woody still has his. I need to ask him that question.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I know it's in his head, but they basically took class. I mean, I have never heard anyone in especially college sports say that they had to do that. And because Bob Knight considered himself a teacher.
Yep.
When they would go on trips, Todd and the guys have told me that sometimes, a lot of times they would have to go to places that they didn't want to go to because it was historical. But at the, now they're glad that they did.
Right.
Knight made them go to all that stuff like Pearl Harbor and this, that, and the other thing. That because he was a big history buff.
You getting phone calls?
Yeah. fan line lighting up.
You're getting blown up.
But notebooks on playing. I mean, that's just pretty cool, pretty smart. it just shows you the detail of the attention to detail.
Yep.
And I mean, his goal was perfection, which is unattainable. But that's true for the season. That's right.
It once.
Well, I guess I was talking about it in every play, but yeah, you're right. And that's exactly practice to make it permanent, perfect. But they did. Their practices were over and over and over. But that's because the motion offense is an offense that is one of decision making by the individual at the time, all the time. It's constant decision making of reads and reactions. And you have to have smart players to do that have been in those situations time after time after time after time. And that's what Knight did.
Yeah. And I think, that to relay that back to today's team, I think there was just a quote recently about from Mike Woodson. I believe it was a Mike Woodson quote on Christian Lander, because, the fan base has been wondering, when do we get to see him more? And I believe Woodson said something about, I got to get him to a point where he can run it without looking over to me, which kind of speaks to what you're talking about. So much in your head, so many reps, knowing what to do at what situation, what the defense shows, is exactly what Woodson wants to see. Woodson, who of course played under Bob Knight, wants to see out of his young point guard to get him more on the floor.
And he knows what it takes. And trust me, being in the position I'm in, and when Archie was here, I just ripped him for the last 2.5 years. For me to sit here and say, hey, y'all got to let the coaches coach the team. I'm sure people go, oh. No, well, it's a different situation. That was a situation that you could see that train was off the tracks for a long time. This is not the case. This train's going uphill, man, and gaining speed.
I was just texting with Rick, maybe after the game this weekend, probably, because we usually debrief after games. And I said, how weird is it right now to see a team improving as the calendar turns to February, as opposed to collapsing in February and into March, which is, there were so many teams over the last few years that were in position for so long through February and March. Like, man, if they could just get this one in the next, we're right back in the tournament, and they just kept losing. And listen, it's February 2nd. The team hasn't played in February yet, but the signs right now show a team improving as the season goes on. And for whatever reason, we haven't seen that for quite a few years from the IU men's basketball team. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You could speculate all you want. I mean, obviously it's got something to do with everyone on the staff, but I couldn't help but think about, a guy like Dane Fife. You talk about sitting underneath someone and watching them build a program. Well, he spent 10 years with a guy who's known for having his team ready in March. You got to think Coach Fife picked up a few tricks.
How many times have we heard that? People talking about Michigan State. They lose to, it seems like every year they open the season in one of those big time tournament deals against Duke or Kentucky, and they lose, and they're like, well, wait till March, yada, yada. I'm like, well, why have them play in this thing then? Wait till March and have them play. But you're always talking about Tom Izzo because that's what he's doing. He's thinking ahead. He's one of those old school coaches. But yeah, I look at this team and I'm thinking, wow, if this was a year later, if they had a year under them, they don't lose that game at Syracuse. They don't give up that 22-point lead to Wisconsin. And it's scary to think.
Yeah.
It's actually scary to think, because you can't do that coulda, woulda, shoulda crap. It doesn't work because you've got Michigan State losing at home to Northwestern. Everybody gets hit in the jaw sometimes, but Indiana is only 2 games out of first place in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, and those games you mentioned, I wish I could always. I keep saying I think it was this, I think it was that, but I was just reading something, and yeah, I mean, to your point, the progress the staff has made with Xavier Johnson, if he was playing like he is now back then, that probably is enough to get you over the hump in both those games. And I believe Syracuse as well. We were without Trey Galloway, and just what he's been able to do defensively on some of these wings probably makes a difference enough in both of those games. I mean, you needed 2 stops, really 1 stop in either of those games to get you a win. Needed 1 stop against Penn State to probably come back in that game. So I think Galloway probably could have made a difference in some of those, but hopefully the committee takes notice of that. If we're sitting on a, between a 7 or an 8 or whatever it might be, 6, 7, 8, 9, hopefully they take a look at who we were without in some of those losses. But at the same rate, they got to keep stacking wins and put themselves in position to be.
That's a great point. If Galloway didn't get hurt, because his trajectory has also gone up. He wasn't there yet, but that 3 weeks held him back, because as soon as he got back, he was obviously working on things during that 3 weeks. But yeah, he was able to come, which is rare, to come out of injury and to come out going up.
He hit the ground running.
He did,
really did.
And has continued to an upward trajectory since then.
Yep. Yeah, his defense on the wing is great, and it's a joy to watch, really. And I mean that. It's when this team is buzzing defensively, it is so enjoyable to watch, and they're just such a pain in the rear for the other two, opposing team on offense, and you can just see it. And on the flip side, you can see when the air goes out of the balloon too, i.e. Michigan. When it's not there, you can see the difference on the court.
Memphis. How about Memphis? Oh yeah. Man. Speaking of Memphis, see, it's what am I looking at here? Moni Bates, the father of freshman Moni Bates, told ESPN on Tuesday night that his son is dealing with pain in his back and absolutely plans to get back on the court. But a report earlier said Moni Bates would not play, that his future was in question. But then you've got Penny Hardaway ripping the media because they're questioning because they're losing. And, he came in here with all this bravado. That's the thing. If you're going to come in there swinging with all your chest all swelled up with air, buddy, you got to take some needles. And he's not, he likes to give it out, but he sure didn't like to take it.
That situation is interesting, because on one side, he really has backed it up in terms of getting the players, but then that's the worst. That's the worst part of it. He's got the players and not the wins. It just doesn't work out once they start playing. So that'll be interesting what happens there. But I mean, what were they preseason? People had them
way up,
very high.
Yeah, but so was Michigan.
Right.
How about the Texas Tech Red Raiders?
Yeah,
they beat Texas and Chris Beard.
I was annoyed with that broadcast only because they were saying the atmosphere was great. I don't know if you watched some of the game. They were ready to go for that one, but they were talking about, I'm not sure there's been an atmosphere like this in college basketball this year. And I was like, clearly you weren't in Bloomington for the Purdue game.
And they weren't. That's the bad thing, is that the TV announcers for that game were remote. And I assure you,
FS1, ESPN, I get it,
but I promise you, they could not get, or did they deliver that atmosphere? And that's sad, because that was the most electric that arena has been in a long time. Yeah. So they really, really missed out on a great college basketball atmosphere this year. They captured it via video wise, but the announcers, when they're there, they can feel it. You could tell that they weren't feeling it.
Yeah, they were removed.
Oh well,
and it came across in the broadcast. What'd you think of Maryland almost beating Michigan State last night? Maybe gives a little more credit to that win over the weekend.
Well, not surprised. I was wondering if Maryland was, before the game, if they would be able to pull that off, because I'm like, all right, they got to be pissed off. They just lost at home to Indiana. Michigan State is a team that's playing well, but they're kind of due, for an upset. They've come close a couple times, and it's not that Maryland's incapable, but it doesn't. Not beating them, I don't think it'll help. It's just like the loss to Wisconsin for Indiana. The fact that they had them down by 22 points, luckily for them, does not show up in any of the metrics. It just shows up as a road loss to what is a number 1 seed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not getting that win has hurt Indiana more than any other game this year, because if they get that win, you got to win over a number 1 freaking seed, man. Along with the win over Purdue, along with the win over Ohio State.
Yep.
I can live with the loss at Iowa. They should have won that game probably. They gave it up in the second half, but that team was not mature enough yet. That team was not mature enough yet to get that win. But that's one you're like, all right, it was a road win to a mid-level Big Ten team. It's not like it's a gigantic upset. It's not going to kill them. But they've got other games that are left, more on the road than at home. But they have home games with Illinois. And I just talked about it. Daggone it.
I can't remember off the top of my head either.
Wisconsin. You got Wisconsin and Illinois at home.
That's right. Yeah.
So again, you get another shot at Wisconsin, who is currently they were not a number 1 seed then. So now they are a number 1 seed. You beat a team that's listed as a number 1 seed, that's just really going to help your resume. And I think Indiana's going to be fine from a tournament standpoint anyway, unless there is a collapse. And I don't see this team collapsing the way they are slowly matriculating up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think I'm conditioned to prepare myself for the February and March collapse. So I'm not quite ready to see. I don't see it happening, especially because they've got a tough little stretch here, and that'll be a telltale sign. If they drop 2 in a row or 3 in a row, can they pick themselves back up, or do they kind of follow the path of the last few years? And I certainly hope that doesn't happen.
Michael says Michigan State has a great record, but they have escaped more than a few upsets this year. Well, that's fine though. That's a team that knows how to win tight games. I agree with it. They have, but they won those games, and that's the key. And that's how it shows on the ledger. We got to take a break. We've got more coming up. Rick Bozich will join us. Looking forward to that. Derrick Jackson as well. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle
brought to you
Point
by
Studios
Remax.
for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Start the new year out. I forgot my Remax, Reed.
You can do it coming back if you want.
Is Derrick?
I can point to it.
Now I'll switch over to. I'll put it back over to Remax when we come back, and then I'll put it back on Reynolds.
Yeah, please do. Is Derrick up next?
Yeah, I just messaged him.
Derrick Jackson played for Bill Mallory, Aaron. The era he back in that era played high school ball with Deion Sanders.
Really?
Yeah.
What time's he coming on?
He's normally 9:30, and he texted us last night too. So there's no
Yeah.
need to be here today. So
Very energetic.
He may not. He may have something come up, but I haven't heard from him yet.
And Bozich
Very
is at
energetic.
9:50.
Yep. And then he usually stays until we finish up, or if he has to leave early, it's kind of up to him. Same with you, obviously.
He's been staying a segment though.
I'll probably jump off. When
Used to
Rick
be
gets
him
on
and
today.
Kravitz, but do what?
I'll probably jump off today. I'm going to try to get into the office, since I'm guessing I'm not going to be in the office the next 2 days.
Are you gonna get off after Rick or before Rick?
But probably when I see him log in the break, I'll say hi to him quick and jump off.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, who knows? We may not have DJ today. He usually lets us know he's going to be in here.
Yeah, I saw that text last night.
Brad said, "Do your best, Vanna White," on the sponsor, and I pointed the wrong way both times I tried.
Oh, I was like, yes, I was trying to figure out what he's talking about. Yes. Perfect. Well, as soon as they ever get it open, when they get it open, you'll be able to do that to Hanks, and you get fed when you come up. Seriously, I'm not kidding.
So are they tearing down Southern Stone and making it Hanks?
What is
No,
Hanks?
That's That's not.
That's the way you
not
always
words.
make it sound.
Whoa. No. Never made it sound like that. It's going
Okay.
where the old Colorado Steakhouse is. It's a completely different location.
Gotcha. Maybe I'm just misunderstood.
Is that on Walnut, the Colorado Steakhouse?
Yeah, it's up on the end about, I guess you'd say 2 blocks from 46 as you're coming down on the right.
Yeah, it had a nice little location, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a new Hank's something
What is Hank's?
steakhouse. It's the name of it. It's just going to be Hoosier Hank's.
Hoosier Hank's.
You ever seen that? Do you ever see that picture? Do you still have a picture of the bison?
I'm trying to see if I can find it, if I have it on here.
He owns a restaurant in Florida, and he had this big grouper made by this guy. There you go. There's Hank.
All right, here we go.
Seriously, I mean, it's got Indiana stuff on it.
Cheryl Sizemore gets you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Speed Radio. Jim Coyle here with you, and Aaron Matus from D1 Ticker Connect. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of new. Aaron has been with them for a while now. It's very unique, to be honest with you. It deals with college athletics, administrators, and the job market, and they do a ton of work of just putting out, I don't want to call it news, but information that would be considered news, sports news. I mean, it's very, very similar. I've started to notice in the multitude of emails that I receive from D1 Ticker Connect.
That's right. That's right. We're in your inbox at least twice a day, 364 days a year is what we like to say. But yeah, I mean, it's for many, many years, it was aggregated, a collection of news from around the country. And more recently, we've started to do some of our own content, as well as keeping an eye on what's going on around the country as well in intercollegiate athletics. But the business side of college athletics is what we do.
DJ joins us now. I missed it a minute ago. Let me get this in real quick, DJ. Cheryl Sizemore, if you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, make sure you reach out to Cheryl from Remax Realty. Her 2 decades of experience could be the difference in you getting the home or not that you want up there. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com, a great sponsor for us. Perfect, Vanna. DJ, how are you, sir?
Hey, brother, I'm sorry I'm late, man. I'm having some technical difficulties on this.
You're never late.
With my tablet, so I'm using my my cell phone right now. But I'm doing great.
You're never late, man.
Doing?
We're great. You're never late. You're always on time. Aaron Matus with us, formerly of multiple TV stations, but he's an IU grad. He was a former sports director in television, sports anchor, and now working in the college athletics into the business. What's going on with you, though, man?
Hey, man, listen, man. Down here in South Florida, we've had a very, very chilly past few days.
I don't want to hear that. First of all, I don't want to hear any of that crap. We got
it is what
from the top of Indiana up to 15 inches of snow coming down to ice at the bottom. So I don't want to hear about being chilly. I was down there in the Orlando area last week, so It did get a little chilly, but it was not. Yeah, I don't want to hear all about that. It's people, Florida people complaining about, I got to put a jacket on. Daggone it.
Well, if it's any consolation to you, it will be 82 degrees today.
Yeah, well, it's not.
Well, thoughts and prayers down there with
that
cold weather.
I hope you make it through. It doesn't hope that doesn't
82.
hypothermia doesn't or get over heat exhaustion, all that business. Man, Indiana football, losing another coach, DeLon McCullough heading up to Notre Dame. First of all, no one can. You cannot blame someone for leaving to go to Notre Dame. That is just. It is what it is. And that is, it's Notre Dame. Someone asked me something last night. I said, well, it is. I said, no. I said, here's what it is. It's Notre Dame. You can stop right there. There's no way. I'm sorry if you're an IU football fan, but if that's just a step up, it is what it is, man, until it's not. And so if he wants to be a head coach, there's no way that having Notre Dame on your resume is going to hurt or not help more than in having Indiana on your resume. I got to be honest.
Right. I and I'm always happy to see coaches and players alike progress in their respective careers. I'm sure it was a career and a business decision. My only thing now is that, with all of these changes and portals and, is there going to become a coach's portal next? But then we may lose his kid to Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the
at least right now they've reaffirmed their commitments to Indiana, both of them, which is good.
Right.
But does that change? But does that change?
Yeah, for a while.
That's the problem.
They have to. Well, they have to. They have signed letters of intent.
Right.
So they, and probably not going to play the first year at Notre Dame anyway. So you wouldn't be losing anything if you stayed. But Day is still, I think, has another year or 2 more years of high school.
Hey,
I think Day's just a sophomore, isn't he?
Here's my question to both of you. You mentioned signed letter of intent. What is that nowadays? It means nothing.
Well, no, that one still holds some juice, I think, for a year.
He could sign today and transfer tomorrow.
I don't know that you can. Can you?
They need to come up with, and that's coming. I think it's pretty agreed upon that there needs to be a window that kids can transfer in. Right. But I do think that will come, because you can't just have,
it will.
A football player.
You can't have the wild west on one side and
decide that, I'm playing at IU, but Jeff Brom just told me I got a spot, and just head up to West Lafayette the next week.
And this is a whole different, completely situation where it involves your father.
Right.
That's kind of like in high school, actually moving to a different school, or trying to transfer to play for your father. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to say that's illegitimate.
And I'll throw this back at you, Jim, a little bit. I completely hear what you're saying, but I don't blame IU fans for taking the news harshly, because
of course not.
It just looks and feels different when your coaching staff gets poached under the current circumstances than as opposed to after winning seasons. And you can kind of say, hey, best of luck to you. I get it. It's great when Tom Allen's got a tree of coaches that are being taken because we're winning. But when we don't particularly run the ball all that well, there's some, behind the scenes chatter about the offensive line coach and whether or not he should stay. And then in February, 2 days before signing day, your coach leaves to go to Notre Dame. It just, there's some different factors that make this one hurt, that go a little deeper than just understanding like, oh, I get it. You want to go coach at Notre Dame. That does make sense on the surface, but there's reasons why this one burns a bit.
Well, yeah, let's don't, and let's don't hide it. We're talking about the fact that Darren Hiller was retained after Indiana had just an abysmal year again on the offensive line, with everybody coming back. You had all the personnel back, so they were expected to be one of the most consistent and counted on units, and they were the opposite of that. The running game was non-existent, basically. Maybe it was because of that. Passing game, you got quarterbacks getting hurt left and right because they weren't being protected.
All systems failure.
No change whatsoever. And fans were upset. And rumors are that some coaches were upset, but that's rumors. I don't know that. I have not heard that from a coach, but if I were a coach, I got to tell you, I'd be pissed if I was coaching a position that relied on this position and it's not workable. So I don't know that there's truth to it, but there's rumors about it, as Aaron talked about. And Is there some truth to that? I don't know. The only person that would answer that would be DeLon McCullough, and I promise you one thing: he is never going to say, "I left Indiana because of that."
That's my favorite thing to do with the rumors is when I say things like, "Well, I don't want to speculate, but let me go ahead and speculate."
Well, I can tell you right now. Yeah, I mean, I was in that locker room many moons ago. I've been in the sport. I'm gonna tell you right now. We need to get better control of what's going on in Indiana, because if you looking at this thing, it's getting taken away. Yes, we're implementing new coaches, but listen, new system. Okay, some players have graduated, transfer portal. Listen, man, Coach Allen, I love him to death, man, and I'm a proponent, a diehard proponent. We have to get better control of the locker room, and we've got to get better control of with our coaching situation, because now we've got 3 new coaches with 3 new ideas, trying to implement that into a program that doesn't have time. We don't have time to wait 2 years to get this thing together. We got to get it together this year in 2022.
I couldn't agree more, because I feel like when you're Indiana football right now, with the momentum they created for a few years, I mean, just look at the national narrative last year when they struggled. You could hear it. People being like, they're back to being Indiana again. And,
it was a fluke. It was a fluke.
Right.
Fluke
and that undercurrent, I talked to Mike McIntyre, formerly at CU, who just took the job at FIU. And he had a great quote that I've always kind of stuck with when he was recruiting at Colorado, because they had a good couple of years and started getting some players. And he said, it's so hard to battle the recruiting undercurrent, things you can't control. And what his example was, I'm recruiting a kid. I've got a good rapport going, but he goes home and his uncle says, you're going to go play at Colorado? Why are you going to play at Colorado? And you have to turn that around with some success on the field, make it cool to go to your school, to impact that undercurrent. And to DJ's point, that recruiting undercurrent is starting to flow back to the negative side for IU after a 2-win season. And if they don't turn it around this year, it's going to be, the same old when it comes to playing for Indiana again. They got to get it right this year. They got to turn it around.
DJ, another change that's coming. Tom Allen will go back to calling the defensive plays. And I can only assume that's because he doesn't have confidence in the guy who was named DC to do that. I understand why, because if I looked at his resume, I see defensive line coach on there for about 20 years. Mm-hmm. But I only see DC at one little stint somewhere. So he doesn't have the experience in that regard. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't think fans have a problem with Tom Allen calling the plays, because they kind of missed that. But and I asked Tom about this, but the head coach is the guy who he's got to be thinking 2 plays, 3 plays ahead all the time. Clock management, situations, all this stuff. You got all this stuff that you've got to be paying attention to. But you need help. But that's an area Indiana has not thrived under during Tom's time. I'd say, late game clock management has been an issue. The bowl game. So there's been some different times, but he's going to have various people have other responsibilities, which is, I guess, a good way of doing it. But that's the one thing I'd rather the head coach was really locked in on the entire game.
Well, here's what's going to happen. Coach Allen and the DC that he appointed, they're going to collab, and they're going to scheme, obviously, before each and every game. But what I like about Coach Allen, and what I've always liked about him, he is taking that responsibility and saying, listen, Indiana football, listen, Indiana fans. We had a dismal season last year. I'm not coming back this year making any excuses. I'm the head coach. I'm calling the plays. So if it goes south, it's on my shoulders. And I like that about Tom Allen, that he's doing that. He wants to shoulder that responsibility and take the onus off of the players, which is what a head coach should do, and take the onus off his DC and says, listen, when it's time to point the finger, after week 5 or 6, point it at me.
Yeah, because this next season or two, you will quickly be there for him on his coaching stint. Really,
There ain't no 2 seasons, buddy. This is it. Right?
I do wonder if we make a little bit too big a deal of him calling plays defensively. And I've put a lot of thought in it too. But on the other side, I feel like if a head coach calls offensive plays, that's like the norm. No big deal. Oh, he calls the offense. But as soon as Tom Allen steps in and says, "Oh, I'm going to call the defensive play," whoa, can we handle this? Can he do this? But it's pretty normal.
Hey, listen. Every home game, Coach Allen, if you're listening, hey, listen, get your former players involved. I would love to be up there every home game and give these guys a pep talk and let these guys know what it is to leave it on the field and take nothing off. We got to get this thing done, Coach Allen. I'm with you, Coach. I'm with you. I'm retired. I'm available. No charge. I love to come up there and just be a Hoosier proponent every home game.
You should start a company.
Jim, I think you just got your social media clip for the day.
And plus, he just needs to start a company where he wakes people up.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Derrick Jackson. Get up, man. It's time to get up and have a great day. I mean, every day, just do a different one every day. It arrives into your phone. Man,
yeah, that was better than coffee.
I'm telling you, we've got it going on. I know both of you guys got to get rolling. DJ, you got to get rolling. Thanks a lot or do you? Or I think are you sticking around or are you leaving? I can't remember.
Oh no, I'm rolling. I'm rolling next week. Next week when I come back, I'm gonna start sticking around next week, man.
Cool. Go out and have yourselves a nice warm day down there in southern Florida. Enjoy that non-snow and non-sleet that you will not be having.
Absolutely, buddy. I will. I'll send some of that weather up there through the mail, guys.
I appreciate you, brother. Aaron may not be with us when we come back. He's going to stick around and say hi to Rick Bozich, but we've got more coming up. Brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry down in Sellersburg. Go see Dr. J for that championship-level smile. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration or you want to stick till we start and then bolt?
Hey, Rick.
Good morning.
We were talking about your old stories, and I didn't have it quite right. I was thinking, did Knight kick you off of the bus at the airport once or leave you, or what was it? You've told this story.
He almost left me in Iowa City at the parking lot after the game. Started to pull away, and then they stopped and let me on the bus.
And when did he give you the old Dutch rub?
That was the same trip at the start of the trip.
See, I knew I had that story right.
Oh, so you were buddies at the start of the trip, and then he almost left your ass.
That's correct. Ted, do you remember Ted Hillary, the longtime Big Ten official?
Yes. Holy cow! I haven't heard that name for so long.
He was here last night observing the Louisville, North Carolina game. We were telling night stories for a while.
There was a guy that lived here in southern Indiana, like around Columbus.
Steve Wilmer.
Jerry, well, there was a Jerry something.
Jerry. Steve Wilmer lived in Columbus.
I remember Steve Wilmer because he did high school. I remember he was doing Floyd Central games. Dude was like 6'6" or 6. He was a big dude, wasn't he?
6'7".
Yeah. That was that's an official you don't get to bark at a lot, especially in high school. I remember him coming over one time. He was always taller than all the coaches, looking down like he's like, "What are you going to say?"
Hey, Rick, what was the post game like after that Baycott call late in the game? They touch upon that?
Pegues did a good job of just expressing his displeasure without getting himself fined or reprimanded.
Who is Louisville's interim coach right now?
Mike Pegues.
Who is he?
He's been with Mac for 10 years. He was with him, I think, for 5 or 6 years at Xavier. He's been with him the whole time here. He played at DeMatha High School in D.C., and then he played for Mike Bray at Delaware. He's a good guy. He's great to deal with.
That was a little ridiculous last night.
Is he making more than $800,000?
I don't know. They upgraded his contract yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to read the story. Why did he say 800,000?
Well, isn't that what they played Paget lowest in the history, the lowest in the history of a D1.
I think they raised the
legitimate
salary.
Power 5 D1 coach.
They raised the salary and put in a bunch of performance bonuses. But Padgett was there the whole year. This guy's only in charge for 10 or 11 games, unless they go on a Steve Fisher like run.
Aaron, are you sticking with us real quick?
Yeah, real quick, and then I'll get rolling.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go.
Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this midday week, Wednesday. Aaron Matus has been with us, about to leave, but Rick Bozich joins us, two former co-workers.
Yeah, I had to stay on to say hi to Rick. Try to hit some of my favorite trigger points to get him fired up, and then I'll sign off.
It's that easy to do?
Oh my gosh! Should we talk about Al Durham hitting 8 straight free throws last night, and then I'll sign off real quick?
Did he really?
8 straight free throws to seal the win for Providence last night.
Providence just keeps marching up the pole, man. I saw somebody had him as a 2 seed, which is ridiculous, but I think they'll be a 4 or 5 seed.
What's nice about that is there's certain times a player transfers away from a program you follow or maybe cheer for, and there's animosity there. But I don't think that's the case with Al Durham at Providence for most IU faithful, and I'm happy for Al, and
not the first IU player to transfer to Providence and have success.
Delray Brooks.
Yeah, went to freaking Final Four against Indiana in '87.
The thing about it, Al, is 2 things different from some of the other ones. One is he didn't come to Indiana to play for the coaches that he played for. He was the last group of Tom Crean recruits, and he stuck it out.
And he stuck it out. Yep.
Of the Miller era. And 2, he stayed for 4, and he got his 50 or somewhere else. So I think he should be in a different category than some of the others.
Yeah, and he just seems like a good kid. Armand Franklin over at Virginia.
That's one of the trigger points.
I still did not. I don't get that transfer. He would have been better off. He would have been better off for himself to stay at Indiana, but Indiana may be better. I don't know. I didn't get.
If he thinks he was going to win there, I mean, they just won a national championship. They got a program rolling there. So if he thought it was a better chance to win there, then so be it. But I mean, I agree with you, Jim. I think he turned on a starting role at IU, but I mean, he's starting at Virginia, so
yeah. It's the chance to play for Tony Bennett, who's been National Coach of the Year. Maybe he thought their style of play fit his style of play better. I don't know. And you're talking about a guy who never played in the NCAA tournament, thinking I'm going to a place. If there's one thing they do every year, it's go to the NCAA tournament, and it's not going to happen this year.
How's Virginia doing this year? How's Indiana doing this year? Yeah, great turnaround for I know, Aaron, you got to get out of here, so I want to keep you, but appreciate you, brother. It's been fun as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Good to get some Bubba's 33. I've got a bunch of coupons for both you guys to get to you. Not coupons, but stuff to eat. Right. Go have some meals at Bubba's, man. Great food.
If the weather holds up, I'll see you Saturday.
I don't know if
I'll be able to get up there.
That's going to be an interesting drive up. All right, boys.
Bye,
Aaron. Thank you, buddy. You have a great one. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Well, speaking of, you're down in Louisville, they've got their issues. They've got the games that they have to still try to win with the situation that's going on, holding on to their players. An interesting one that comes to mind, which I don't see is going to have an effect on his recruiting unless they don't hire Kenny Payne, which that's another conversation we'll have. But was it Caleb Glenn, the Louisville recruit that came down to Indiana and Louisville, but ultimately went with Louisville, obviously his hometown. But now that it's coaching change, always a possibility of a change, but I cannot foresee them not hiring Kenny Payne for that job. they're almost forced to with the situation that's swirling around them.
Yeah, I don't know if we're quite to that point, but he's definitely the front runner. He's in the front row. And last night when I was at the Louisville, North Carolina game, I actually saw Kendrick Haskins of Wave 3, and he had already gone out to talk to Caleb Glenn, and he basically said, whoever they get, he's staying at Louisville. It's not surprising. I mean, his dad played football at Louisville, Louisville family, male high school, very strong connection to the University of Louisville. Darrell Griffith, obviously, Michael Bush, Chris Redmond, I can go on and on and on. So I think that he'll be at Louisville. So,
what do you think about their coaching? I mean, what would keep Kenny Payne from being their next coach?
Well, that's a great question. It's a difficult situation right now to sort of handicap, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I think Kenny Payne is the front runner, but one thing is, last time some of the criticism in the aftermath of what happened was they focused in on one guy, Chris Mack, and didn't really look at anybody else. So I don't
Somebody
think
else did that about 5 years ago, I think.
Right. They're going to look at multiple people, and it's happened so far out in advance that there's time for that. Anybody who might be interested certainly has time to get the word to the University of Louisville that they're interested. I think the second reason is that there's going to be people that are going to, and I'm talking about people with boosters with money, who are going to push for somebody who has head coaching experience. That's the only thing you can say about Kenny Payne that would put him, at a bit of a disadvantage to other coaches and say he's never been a head coach in any level of basketball. I don't think that's an issue. I mean, I think Chris Mack had plenty of head coaching experience. Archie Miller had plenty of head coaching experience. It didn't work. Coaches either make it or don't make it for a variety of reasons. All the boxes that Kenny Payne does check, to me, puts him far ahead of every other candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be a nice, Denny Crum was there for so long that he became Mr. U of L, but he came from UCLA. He came from Los Angeles. He did not have a Louisville background.
Right.
And Mac, his wife had a Louisville background, I guess. And then, Rick Pitino, the complete opposite. He'd been at Kentucky. And I guarantee you half the fans would love to have Rick Pitino back, if not more than half.
I don't disagree with that. I think it's also remarkably interesting that since this has all happened, there was one story in the New York Post last week where Rick Pitino, who, changes his mind more time than the weatherman, said, well, I could see myself going back to the NBA, and I'm not going to rule out another college job, because if I say that and then I get one, you're going to call me a liar. And then there's another huge story about Rick Pitino today and his team in the New York Times. So
he manages to keep in the spotlight, man.
He's doing a heck of a job at Iona. Look at their team. They're almost in position where if they don't win their conference tournament, which generally you'd think they would have to get the automatic qualifier, they'll be considered for an at-large bid. They beat Alabama. They beat somebody else. Their losses are teams like Kansas and another pretty good team. So he's doing a hell of a job. But there will be people. There have been people that have said they need to bring back Rick Pitino and Tom Jurich. And I just say, why stop there? Why not bring Bobby Petrino back for a third run? Just pretend it's 2006 again.
Yeah, well, they'd get back to the winning side of things. That's probably, but I don't know. Petrino quit on him. That's the one thing I will never forget. He just quit. I've never seen a head coach at that level quit on a team like it appeared that he did. And he can go kick rocks. And I'm not even a fan, and I'd say go kick rocks. You mentioned a name a minute ago that actually just reminds me of another name. You said Darrell Griffith. I hear Darrell Griffith. I think of John Tong. And I hear goal by Griffith. Steps called. One of those PA announcers that had their own unique flair on things. And Chuck Crabb is one of those. a 6'1" sophomore. Been doing this for 45 years. I mean, how many? Think of the generations of fans that have come through there. That's just a cool thing in and of itself. Saw a story that Zach Osterman did on him yesterday. How in '77 he tried to add a little flair, and Bob Knight cut that off real fast in a meeting, and he kind of developed the style that he has that Indiana fans have known for 45 years now. Retired, riding off into the sunset like that. First of all, let me tell you how nice it would be to be able to do that. So congratulations, Chuck, for being able to do that. But he's going to be missed. He did a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, he was very active behind the scenes to fans and media people, but the people at IU knew all the things he did around the facilities. But yeah, you're right. There's certain voices that you always associate with certain venues. John Tong at Louisville's one. Bob Shepard, the longtime announcer for Yankee Stadium, is another one. Because I'm a White Sox fan, Gene Honda he does the PA at the Final Four, but he also is the White Sox PR person. Person. He's terrific. So there's different places when you go, you listen for the voice. And Chuck, as you know, great guy to talk to. You always see him at games, say hi. Been a graduate of IU. I think he's from Brazil, Indiana.
Journalism degree.
Right. Been a Hoosiers, and I think he worked in the. He might have worked. I'm pretty sure he worked in the sports information department when I was at the Daily Student. That's where he got his start. So I wish him a terrific retirement. I didn't read Zach's story yet. I read the one that Tom Brew wrote, and it made sound like his wife's already in Florida, and I'm sure if I saw a picture, I would know who John Harmon is. But there's a gentleman by the name of John Harmon.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
And they were good friends, and that kind of jolted his thinking into saying, "Hey, I need to go enjoy the next few years."
Yeah, you need to see a picture because every time you have seen him of late, he was wearing a mask.
Okay.
And it took me a minute to realize who it was they were talking about because I didn't know him by name. I'd always see him and say hi, but I didn't have to do a lot with him. But I would just see him all the time. But
Did he sit at the scorer's bench?
No, he was always moving around, man. He was
Okay.
always moving around. But I figured out within a day, I'm like, oh, I know who they're talking about. Yeah. And that happened, I guess it was like 2 weeks ago or so now. And it was completely unexpected. And I don't blame Chuck. He's been doing this for 45 years. His wife's, they've got a home in Florida. She spends most of her time there. He was there all June. He was there back at Christmas. Yeah, I was just down in Florida to watch Schifino play. And trust me, they're not expecting 12 inches of snow or ice tomorrow. So I get it.
Bloomington's getting 12 inches?
No,
North.
There's 3 bands of it. Yeah, the 12 to 15 inches in the northern Indiana section. We're in the 5 to 10 inch, but we were last I've seen 5 to 10. But we don't know if it's going to be ice or snow or both.
Wow. So who's going to be who's going to do the public address? Have they
not announced it yet?
Okay.
I can say that probably will not be me. I'm pretty sure I won't get a look.
Did Chuck also do women's games?
You know what? I guess he did. He used to do football, I think.
Right.
I don't know when he stopped that, but he hadn't been doing football for a couple of years.
Okay.
But I'd say he probably did the women's games as well. And so they've got to find someone to do those last 4 or 5 home games Indiana has, which is not a problem. They'll either reach into the IU Media School or there's plenty of people to do that. It will be interesting. It's interesting that it's coming with some games left in the season instead of starting the new year. But we'll see on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I mean it's just about as weird as the situation was here last week, which caused me not to be on the show because I was out at the University of Louisville's players' dorm trying to track down players in the parking lot about whether the story was true that their head coach was exiting, and he did exit.
Yeah, I guess it's still surprising, not surprising how that just came to a crashing halt down there at Louisville. And they have still yet to hear from the NCAA on those additional penalties that are coming. How will that affect, could that affect Kenny Payne or any other coach that they're looking at?
Yeah, I think any candidate would have plenty of questions about this job. That would be near the top of the list. Are they going to get some kind of a postseason tournament ban? Are they going to get some kind of scholarship limitations? What is the penalty going to be? And when are they going to know the penalty? I mean, there's no assurance that they're even going to know the penalty by the end of this calendar year, much less there's no way they're going to know by the time they hire a coach. And plus that Louisville has to navigate through the challenge of hiring a coach when you have an interim AD and an interim university president. There are going to be some candidates who are not going to be comfortable doing that, going to work at a place where you don't really know who your boss is going to be. It won't scare away some guys, but I mean, I think if you've got a really good gig right now and you like where you're working and you got it rolling, you've really got to be a certain kind of person to say, yeah, I'll leave that to come take on this challenge.
Well, Chris Mack went there with the same things over their head because that was 4 years ago. They still hadn't resolved them. So there's that. Speaking of this Saturday,
what's that? You got a 7-year deal, remember? So I mean that's one thing we're going to have to do. I don't know, what did Woodson get? 5?
I think it was 5.
And Archie got what? Archie got 7 though too, didn't he? Because he worked 4 and they owed him 3. So yeah, he's gonna get 7. I would say 7 would be the minimum.
And see, you want to talk about trigger points? Yeah, that's a trigger point. That just makes my stomach regurgitate. Looking at the Big Ten, man, this Saturday, speaking of Indiana and Illinois, and the Illini come to Bloomington, Indiana, to take on an Indiana team that if they won that game, Rick, they would be within a game of first place in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That's almost crazy. I know fans expected that, but I don't think that was reality. And for this team to keep themselves in this position, how they started the year of really having to grow and find themselves, it's a pretty damn good move. I mean, that loss to Wisconsin, it hurts horribly because you had such an opportunity to get that win, and that win would carry so much weight, especially now they're listed as a number 1 seed. So that would really help them. The fact that they had the 22-point lead does not show up on the metrics, but that would have been a hell of a win, even though you get another shot at them at home. But man, if you could have swept them, that's a big time. But they're where they wanted to be. I mean, I can't imagine Indiana complaining about anything right now.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, a couple of those games that they could have, in the first 3 that they lost, they could have won, really. But this is a game against Illinois. There's a lot at stake. One is, I'm not saying they would put them in the tournament, but I think it'd be a very solid step towards saying, yeah, they're going to make the tournament, because then you got 3 signature wins against Purdue, Ohio State, and Illinois. Secondly, I only mention this because I'm a voter in the AP poll. They're currently 30th or 31st.
Yeah, you had them 23rd, I saw.
Yeah, LSU and Iowa State, a couple of the teams ranked ahead of them, got beat last night. I think that would give them a better chance to get in the top 25 and build the brand of the program.
How's Marquette ranked with 7 losses?
How? They went on a pretty big winning streak, and they were near the top of the Big East, and a couple of the losses weren't that bad. And then the third thing it would do for Indiana is I think most bracketologists now have them as an 8 seed or a 7 seed. They probably need to push to get up towards a 6 seed.
Yes.
8 seed, if you win your first game, you play a 1 seed the second game.
Yeah.
And 7, you play a 2. So that's the area where seeding, I think, does matter, who you're playing in your second game.
Well, and I think that the home game with Wisconsin will give them that very opportunity because they weren't a number 1 seed back when they played the first time, but now they are. And you beat a number 1 seed, that's got to move you, especially if they're able to get the win over Illinois. You add that, a number 1 seed win has to move them up a seed line. You'd have the wins you just talked about: Illinois, Purdue, Ohio State, and then Wisconsin. That's a pretty solid resume.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the top of the league right now is what? Michigan State, Illinois, Wisconsin. Is that the way it is?
All 8-2.
And then who's next? Ohio State,
Purdue. Purdue
State.
actually is at 7-3. Then Ohio State at 6-3.
And then Indiana's 6th.
Yep, at 7-4.
They need to fight off. Isn't Michigan right behind them? And Michigan has the tiebreaker on them, and they don't play Michigan again. So yeah, they need to hold their ground or try to gain a spot if they can.
And Michigan didn't they miss games with COVID?
Yeah, they missed the one Michigan State game. They played one of them, but I think one of them's been postponed and hasn't been rescheduled yet. So I don't know if they've got working in or not.
2 less games. How would, if like right now the record is 5-4, Indiana's is 7-4. As long as they don't, the Indiana would stay in front of Michigan in that regard, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Iowa's a team that they've got a sub 500 conference record, but a 14-7 overall record. They're still a potential. They could possibly make the tournament, but do they have to get to 500 or better? Do you think a team can make the tournament with even a 1 under 500 record in the Big Ten? They're probably going to be
probably not. I mean, I looked at their non-conference record just briefly. They lost to Iowa State. I think they did win their game in the challenge, though. I forgot who they played. I'm pretty sure they won their challenge game. So but I don't think they played. Fran McCaffrey doesn't usually play a top of the line non-conference schedule, so I can't imagine they have a big string of non-league wins, quality wins. Indiana keeps benefiting from, well, until Monday night, Notre Dame's improvement. That Notre Dame win at the time, which I think people shrugged off, Notre Dame went on to win 10 of its next 11, and that became a more of a quality win. Now they gave it back by playing terrible against Duke on Monday night, but Notre Dame had moved into like first 4 out or next 4 out or something on the bracketology at ESPN.
That's big for them because they were not even close for a lot of part of the season. And again, it helps Indiana that those losses to teams like Syracuse, you're not going to get past that. The Penn State loss, it is what it is, but they're not going through the season undefeated. Obviously, you've got Michigan State losing at home to a team like Northwestern, who's one of the worst in the league. So it's simply going to happen, but they're just now in a position. They've just got to take care of business now. They're in a position to do that. They're playing much better, and they just have to take care of, they've got to win at home. And
they got 2 road games next week. Is that what they got? Minnesota and Northwestern? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and they need to steal one of those at least. And obviously Northwestern would be you'd think the most likely. But like I said, that's a team that went on the road and beat Michigan State. Minnesota is 6-4 at home. They're 3-3 away. But they're 2-7 in the conference. Not having a good run in the conference.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've lost some tough games. I mean, Northwestern's lost a lot of close games too, I think, in the league.
Northwestern has, they've fought and fought, but can't quite get there. Let's see, Northwestern, speaking of which, is at Nebraska this Saturday. Illinois is in Indiana, of course. Iowa tomorrow is at Ohio State, and Wisconsin as at Illinois tonight. So, wow.
Does Indiana only have 3 home games left? Is that right?
I think it's 4.
Okay.
Illinois. Let me get it pulled up. Illinois, Wisconsin. I think you have
Rutgers?
Minnesota, Rutgers,
and
Maryland.
Okay. They get another crack at Maryland?
Yeah, they get to come. They bring them home. That is on February 24th.
Okay.
See, where are we today? It is this Saturday. Yeah, the big week off today. Then 3 days. Then they travel to Northwestern during the week. Then on my birthday, they'll be next Saturday at Michigan State. So back-to-back road games to come back home to take on number 11 Wisconsin on Tuesday. Follow that on the 19th by a trip to Ohio State. Come back to host Maryland. You go back to travel to Minnesota, come back to host Rutgers, and travel to Purdue. So they've got some tough road games. Obviously, Purdue's going to be tough. Minnesota's going to be a tough road game. Up there at the barn. Ohio State, obviously, very tough.
I remember the Cody Zeller, Victor Oladipo team got beat up at the barn.
It is a tough place to play, man. But this team is looking like, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but things continue. Probably looking at an NCAA tournament team this year.
Yeah, things would have to really fall apart for them not to make the tournament. As long as they keep playing the way they've been playing, solid defense the entire year, better ball handling, taking care of the ball the second half of the year, and Xavier Johnson maturing into one of the he's one of the better point guards in the Big Ten. I mean, he really
Absolutely. He is really, I said earlier, he's grown into his skin with this team of what he needs to do for this team, it seems like. And I hate to make a big deal of this. Race Thompson, his 3-point shooting, he hasn't brought his percentage up to like 23% now. I did the math on that. His shots have never looked bad.
Right.
And he was only taking those shots because he was instructed to by Mike Woodson.
Right.
Because he knows of what it can bring if he is able to start hitting those shots, what it could bring to Race as a player, but what it brings to the team. And that could be if that was something that was to flourish as this season finishes out, that could be a great additional weapon for that Indiana team.
Well, he's made enough threes now that the defense can't just laugh it off and play 10 feet off of him. They got to respect him and go out there and guard him. And as you mentioned, that creates more space around the basket for Trace Jackson Davis, who, he's got some challenges ahead of him. This, as I remember, playing against Kofi Coburn hasn't been great for him the last couple of years.
Not, and you say that for a lot of people. I would not want to draw a lot of people. I would not want to draw that assignment. Absolutely.
But I'd say he's had more trouble with Kofi Coburn than he's had against Dickinson or some of the Purdue dudes or whatever. Kofi Coburn, I'm pretty sure has played pretty well against Indiana. We'll see how it goes. Illinois is a different kind of team. I think they're the most physical and aggressive team in the Big Ten. They like to play the way some of Pitino's old teams did, which is like get in there and body up with guys and get away with whatever you can. They're not going to call every foul. I think they're very happy to get to push the envelope on defensively how aggressive they can play.
I know you're coming up to the game on Saturday to cover Indiana, Illinois, and I know you've been really busy with all the things that are going on down there at the University of Louisville with the coaching change, and they had a game against North Carolina last night. A very close game, ironically. Seen a lot of people say that they're fans, some bad calls, officiating calls, but was it bad?
Yeah, they were the victim of 2 bad calls in overtime. There was there was one play where Louisville guy got blocked at the rim. It came down, 2 guys had the ball, and as they were breaking up the scrum, there's some the stuff that usually goes along with those scrums. And Louisville's Jalen Weathers put his hands and I didn't think it was a nasty push. It was just like, get away from my guy. And Armando Bacot fell backwards and went to the ground. Some people say it was a flop, but the game was so heated at the time that the refs gave him a technical. So Carolina got 2 free throws and possession of the ball. And then later in the game, when they cut it back to 3 again, there was a play where Louisville missed the shot, and Bacot and Sidney Curry of Louisville went up for the ball, and they called Curry for the rebounding foul. And the replay board clearly showed that Armando Bacot had his arm out like this around Curry's neck and threw him to the ground. And then Louisville's coach erupted and he got a technical foul. So 2 calls went against them. I thought the second one was really bad. And,
Josh said he'd like to, well, first of all, he says he's a Kentucky guy and he can admit that they got screwed so that there's no question they got screwed. He also said he'd pay money to see Kofi Coburn and Oster Tshiebwe.
Yeah.
How about
You almost had to see him on the same team. Remember, Kofi Coburn almost went to Kentucky.
Transferred, yeah. Well, he may get that wish. The NCAA has a tendency of we'll either maybe see that or potentially see Indiana and Kentucky play in the tournament. The NCAA has a penchant for doing some favors. One of the few things that they've done over the years is give us some of those nice ones. I know you've been busy coming up here this Saturday, been working on this stuff going on with Louisville. Anything else that you've got?
That's pretty much it. We don't have – I mean, the Bengals are close by just like they are to Bloomington, but I don't think there's a lot of strong local connections on the Bengals team with local-oriented players. So, getting ready for – I'm more curious about, today's what the second signing day, and I guess Tom Allen's going to talk, Scott Satterfield's going to talk. Did I read yesterday that the Dylan McCullough's kids both say they're still going to IU?
Yeah, they've committed reaffirmed their commitments to Indiana for right now, but I believe both of them have signed letters of intent, but the one's still in high school. So,
right.
But the most important one, the outside linebacker, he is still coming at least for a year, but he may end up staying. His dad's coaching running back, so who knows? I think it would probably depend on how the season goes. If things are going well, stick around. His brother could potentially still be in high school here. I don't know how that's going to work out. Yeah. So, well, brother, I appreciate you as always, and I will look forward to seeing you on Saturday and get these Bubba's things in your hands so you can go have some meals.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you give him a follow always. He is a Hall of Fame writer with good reason. Hey, we'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration. Well, we got like 1 minute.
A minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You're pulling a Jerry Eves. This is what he does almost every day.
Yeah, but see, that's okay because it doesn't matter if you have this. It doesn't matter about that.
Mm-hmm. Let's come back and wrap things up, and we'll be good to go.
Well, I mean, if you watch any talk show, Jimmy Kimmel.
I'm not saying it's wrong.
All the time. Yeah, it happens all the time. Well, there you go.
What?
There's the comparison last year. Trace Jackson had 19 and 14. Covey had 16 and 10, and Race had 18 points. That's the thing, though, man. Illinois can't. I don't know that they can, because both of them are better, and I don't think they have an answer for both of them. Another great show.
It's been a good week, and I'm glad I'll be here on Friday too. I love when they tell me they cancel remotes.
You have no idea.
I wish they'd cancel all the remotes.
Oh, crap. Will called me yesterday, and I forgot to call him back.
I told him that he doesn't have to be here Friday, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, but he called me, and I forgot to call him back.
Oh, okay.
I'll text him right now, damn it.
Yeah, when we come back, you're only going to have about a minute, 20-ish seconds. So I would just say, what a great show. Something like that. Look forward to tomorrow. All right, here we go.
I'm the producer with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. The Hoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to the Hoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Another great day, man. Had a blast. Thanks to Aaron Matus, DJ Derrick Jackson, and Rick Bozich, Hall of Fame writer. Looking forward to see what happens these next couple of days with the weather, man. The one good thing is we'll be here tomorrow regardless. So if you get snowed in, you get to, well, when does that start?
Down here,
Tonight?
It's going to be rain all day today, turning into ice tomorrow, and then Friday, I don't know. It's just a big mess.
Yeah, winter storm warning, yada, 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 90% chance. Well, hell, that's right now. So whatever it is could be coming down right now. I don't know if it's snow or what, but it doesn't matter. I had a blast. I hope you guys did, but I wouldn't have nearly the amount of fun if it weren't for you guys. Appreciate y'all so much. Love your comments. Appreciate your comments. And even for those of you guys that don't or not able to listen to us live, throw the comments up. We try to get back to all of them. We'll be back tomorrow again. What's the lineup tomorrow, brother? It's another big one, huh? Dustin.
That's right. Dustin Schutte, Kyle Neddenritt, Matt Taylor, Chris Denari, and we'll see what else.
Always fun. Thanks a lot, as always. We appreciate all of our sponsors, of course. John, thanks to you and everyone else. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.